But you will see that the truth is that even the Western civilization is intertwined with the African civilization and culture, and they're actually inseparable. Because to say that you separate yourself as a Westerner from African civilization and culture is to disintegrate an identity crisis of who I am as a Western person. It is also something that I should be proud of also being of African descent, that every African should be proud of, to ask themselves, how did they get here? How did Africa get here? How did the Africans get here? How did the Africans get to the point that they look down upon? If they are Asian people in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd centuries, are the one that developed the Western civilization and Western theology and Western philosophy that has brought the greatest good to the greatest number of people today. How come Africa is such a deplorable place? Because they have forgotten their history, they have forgotten who they are, and they have forgotten their God. In order to understand the theology today, and I will tell you that their culture and their life and relationship with their God help them to understand the word of God and at the same time be able to teach and share it with other people. And I'll tell you a personal story. When I was a child, there is a ceremony that is done in my clan. I have told you that I am descended from Inri clan in Igbo land. And I have shared a little bit of some stories about serving God, worship God. For my clan is a dedicated line, a dedicated clan of priests and diviners. That right from before all the corruptions entered into the worship as African religion, the relationship they had with God is inseparable and intertwined all the day of their life, from the time they wake up until they go to sleep. The ceremony that they do on once in 10 years, and once in those 10 years, when they did it once when I was small. And the priests and the diviners will come in the ceremony. And then when they come in the time, they begin to beat the drums. And all the instruments that I don't know the names. Now, I can't remember what the names are. Everybody that take part in that group of priests and diviners that come, they come in with their drums and they sing and they do enchantments and the words of incantations they do, the prayers as they call it, they offer with the drums as they beat. And they come and they will first of all go around the compound where all the members of the clan are assembled. They make an announcement. If you know that you are not holy and you are not righteous, go far away that the sound of the drums will not enter your ears or you die. And if you know you are pregnant with a child that is not of your husband's, you must not be in the vicinity and you must not hear the drum, or else you are going to give birth to a monster. And normally when they do the ceremony, everybody, people in the area will depart and go far away. They are never around, they are not present. And when they beat in the drum, if you are not sure of yourself, you cannot step in to dance. When I was a kid, people were beating and they were dancing and people were coming. I was listening to what they were saying to hear and find out what word that is coming out of the mind of the person that is in front and the one that is surrounded as they paint themselves and do all the stuff in their prayers. They were praying to God in heaven. And so is the beating of the drum and the dance they were doing to God. They were praying for the people. A lot of people were entertained by the drum, and they were all, none of the men is only men, None of the men were 3 feet high. They were pygmies. The point that I am making is that all the story that we were told about the relationship between man and God helped me, for example, to read and understand and connect with Christ in a very special way, in the way that I love him. Because from childhood, we've been hearing about our job and duty as priests, and as what we do and what we cannot do, how you have to live holy and righteous life. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. In fact, when I visited Nigeria last year, after 30 years, I went to the clan hall. All the leaders were people that never used to come to anything that is that pertains to the clan. They don't have no idea about some of the story I was telling. And the younger people were so much enthused because nobody ever told them. But the point I am making today is that the problem is that Africans has forgotten where they come from, and they have forgotten the truth, and they have forgotten the word of God. So we encourage you to ask yourself, and for that reason Africa is lost, that if we are people that developed the theology and developed the philosophy that today that control and rule and dominate the world, but yet Africa is a dominated continent, and that has no vision for tomorrow, for future, for greatness. But yet Africa were great before. Does that also not puzzle you in the way that is it not possible you have turned away from your God, and because of that the Lord have turned away from you? That is why we're talking about message of good news, coming back to find who you are. If you want to see the power of God, come back home, come back to God. The Lord sent the apostles out to go to people's home. How many people have you sent out to go to people's home and drive like 30,000 miles a year or more? Even in this COVID, going to people's home, you're not going there to judge them. People did not understand why Christ was eating with the sinners. Because if you remember in the book of Matthew chapter 6, we are not to judge them. We don't go to people, the unbelievers, to judge them. In fact, it's the best place I would like to be, because I have no power or authority to judge them, and I can freely, and they appreciate when you come.